Awakening DX No Wrong Warp. The game is running live on my Game Boy player right here via the use of GBI Speedrun, Game Boy Interface Speedrun. This is a huge deal for the accessibility of TASBot on home consoles because we've accelerated Game Boy verification from 3 to now 29 different games running on the Game Boy player, and 20 of them can be run and downloaded right now from runs.task.bot for anybody who has Game Boy Interface Speedrun to play at home. We're always happy to help set it up too on Discord at discord.task.bot. But for now, let's start the run and let's take it away, Twisted Tamer, the TAS author, and RTA runner Glyph DX.
All right, so we just
go for it.
we just got through the file select pretty quick. This task uses a lot of left plus right tricks, so it's not going to look like a normal RTA run. Essentially, it gives you a weird directional state that can actually affect how items work. So we use it to our advantage with very glitched behaviors on items. And the first thing we're going to see is when we get to the beach. Won't spoil it. You want to talk about the game, Glyph?
Yeah, absolutely. So, this is No Wrong Warp. To explain the rules a little bit, we're not allowed to go into the doghouse and do any of that glitch world stuff you might be familiar with. That will be in the next run that we just met the incentive for. Also, the game is kind of built up into maps. Just like the overworld map, caves have their own maps, and caves share the same map for the most part. And for the most part, we won't be transitioning between different cave systems unless it loads the correct palette. So you see there, using up plus down, it kind of changes Link's position, so we can extend that knockback it gets from the urchin to get the sword quicker. You can see in the input display that it's really crazy inputs going on you wouldn't be able to do normally.
Yeah, here we're going to collect 10 rupees using a little duplication trick where we flick the shield at the right frame. Gives you 2 rupees instead of just 1 because it's 2 hitboxes. And we're going to use that to purchase bombs and then steal the bow. But we got to get past this guy who doesn't want to let us win.
He is a Sith Lord. He's a Sith lightning on us.
And just to show you guys one of the cool things with the way that GBI Speedrun works, the inputs are not running off of the controller port here, so I can actually disconnect the controller from the console, and you're going to see the game continuing running. It's pulling the inputs not from a controller, but from the SD card that's plugged into the front memory card port of this GameCube.
I was totally expecting the stream to die when you pulled that controller out.
So you see there, we skipped some of the animation from the owl. By placing a bomb as soon as we transition, it loads 2 bombs at the same time, which normally is not supposed to happen. And so certain values get overflowed where sprites are loaded, and it kind of plays whatever cutscene is on the screen. In that case, it was the text from the owl, so it just played it instantly without having to watch the cutscene. Normal RTA, you can only do that with the pit or a screen transition, but for a task, using up plus down, we can kind of manipulate where the game thinks of Link as being, and we can use that to place bombs off screen and just trigger a bomb trigger instantly, just like that.
Yeah.
Save and quit is very important in this run. We can warp back to the last place we stored a warp, which was that house, so we can shortcut back to the dungeon, shortcut back to the village so that we can go to D1 faster. Certain categories ban save and quit, but we use it as we can here.
Yeah, and so like I said, also you can place keys into the side. But like I said, dungeons are kind of sort of on the same map, but we aren't allowed to transition between different dungeons, which you can do pretty easily without a bounds tricks, because it loads the wrong palette. It's a little bit too glitchy, and the last task didn't do it. So Tamer opted not to do that, but we'll be doing that with cave systems, because when you do that, it does load the correct palette. So we'll be doing it a little bit later in the run. But dungeons will have to enter in normally through their intended entrances.
Okay, this room we need to kill these 2 spinies. You basically shield them and flip them over to make them vulnerable, but we just used up plus down to make quick work of them from across the screen. And we used left plus right shielding in that underground system to boost over the gaps without the feather.
Also, you'll notice...
normally in GBISR you can't do up, down, or left plus right tricks, but in the movie playback system where we're replaying tasks, you can send inputs on the same frame in up, down, and left, right.
Right. Also, you might notice whenever we do that, Link's sprite really glitches out sometimes, and that's just a result of the game not really knowing what to do when you hit two directions at the same time. So it just gets very confused.
Some more of
So-
that swag technique.
That was a super jump. Want to explain that?
Yeah, basically this game has ledges that if you push into it for 6 frames, you can actually leap off and it'll put you into a collisionless state until you land. But we can actually abuse that by clipping in a wall and then pushing away from it, facing away from it, and it'll put you into a collisionless state until you land. And we can actually do that without clipping in a wall. It's a sub-pixel precise trick at that point, but we can massively abuse getting through any collision we want if it's close enough, and we can use the shield and sword to deflect off of enemies to redirect where we go. Pretty useful.
Very cool. So Twisted Tamer, how long did you work on this task here?
I spent months like learning the game and routing, and then it took about 3 to 4 months to make the task, along with just a little bit of routing and testing here and there. But it's mostly straightforward process.
Notice we are playing on English, so we can't skip this text with the B button. So this text goes on forever.
That reminds me, I was going to tell the story about how I actually got the cartridge to do this verification, because it was just like back in February before everything started shutting down, and I got the call that we wanted to do this, like to actually like verify this movie, and I tried to track down a cartridge, and this isn't just an English cartridge, it's a very specific revision of the English cartridge. So I called like 10 game stores, drove like halfway over the state, digging one up, and I finally found one, like hidden away in one game store an hour away. It was great.
Definitely hard to track down the correct game versions with such an old game.
To get my Japanese 1.0 cart, I had to rely on a little bit of eBay RNG.
Yeah.
There is a bomb trigger to kind of just play that cutscene with the witch giving us powder without actually having to have the mushroom.
The only reason we need powder is because of the D2 entrance puzzle requiring 2 powder. Other than that, we could completely skip it if there was a way. So here we got a flock clip, basically a text box triggered by something you push into that gives a text box. It will corner boost you into the wall just a little bit, and that's just enough to clip through it. And there we doubled up with RNG manipulation enough sprites to overload the next screen so that we can get rid of one of the plants blocking the way. So we can skip Bow Wow.
Yeah, that's something you cannot do RTA. It requires way too perfect luck to be able to do it. But TaskBot always has perfect luck because he's TaskBot.
Super jump there to skip having to get a key for this room.
That jump always looks crazy to me.
The Hinoxes are usually very, very difficult mini bosses, but not really.
Kind of looks similar to a Hinox warp you might see in LAS. Kind of uses similar mechanics with the Hinox grabbing you.
So these guys just need to be off screen, but we can just shoot them off screen and get our bracelet. We haven't talked about it yet, but every time you open like a chest, you can actually skip the text by opening up the save and quit menu.
Right.
And-
And if you open up if you need to do a menu to change equips, doing that at the same frame you open a chest is 6 frames faster. So we'll do that when we can.
Yeah. And we use that Stalfos to clip into this instrument room. The way this dungeon's laid out, we can just easily get in here. Skip the Bottle Grotto boss.
Yeah, again, the dungeons are all kind of in the same map, and so if we just know where the specific rooms are, we can kind of clip through walls to get to them.
And if you guys haven't noticed yet, I'm sure you all have. I'm sure you all on the stream have noticed. But in the upper left corner, there is an input viewer live, so you can see the inputs coming through, kind of like you would usually see with TaskBot live at the event on his little Nest board. But on GBI, we have it come through the video feed with the game.
Yeah, it's really convenient,
since there's
especially
no actual controller input.
yeah, it's really convenient, especially when you're streaming the game. You can just have an input display without needing an adapter or anything like that. I want to explain this coming up. It's gonna be a pretty cool trick.
So, in very old runs, you had to do a 5-minute or so quest that involved getting golden leaves and bring them to Richard to gain access to this maze. But basically, we can pause the frame you fall into the pit at the very bottom of the screen, and when you get out of the menu, you'll actually be standing like 1 pixel below the screen border, and you'll be able to transition, so we can just get in here really early.
Yeah, whenever you transition on a solid tile, the game just tries to look for the first available tile that's walkable, and it just kind of pushes you onto that tile.
And another little abuse of facing up to open these key blocks.
I love
Yeah,
that part.
This is key
Yeah.
cavern without keys.
I always love that.
So we're gonna use this Zol to super jump into the second part of the dungeon. Normally you'd go down those stairs and get a underground section, but we can just get into the other part of the dungeon that way. And this is the best item in the game, not gonna lie. Up-down inputs with the boot dashing, we can actually get really weird speed boosts and be able to jump during those speed boosts for like crazy optimizations.
Yeah, if you saw in my RTA run, I did a trick called Zoomerang, where it's a very, very specific set of inputs. You can do RTA with the boomerang to kind of trick Link's momentum. It's very similar with up-down. You can just do that instantly, though. Very powerful, and it'll be abused extensively.
Alright, so we got an owl on the next screen that wants to slow us down, but we're just gonna make him disappear. Basically, we shovel up enough sprites like we did last time, and the owl can't load, so no cutscene. A little bit faster.
Only faster in English, I think, by the way. If I'm not mistaken.
Will this be a good start to get in a couple donations here?
I think so.
Yeah, no problem. We have, let's see, a $50 donation from Corpor Racing. Here's a teeny bit of progress towards our awesome robot overlords. Must support Taz.
It's kind of interesting
very
in this
much.
game. Bombs don't do self-damage, but bombs from bomb fairies do, and so you can abuse that to get across that pit without needing to go in the underground.
On this screen, normally there's a walrus that blocks the way, and you need to get Marin to sing a song and wake him up, but it would be a little slow to get Marin, so we just dig up enough items to unload him. And Land Moa, he's always loaded, so you can just shoot him instantly and skip his opening text box.
There, you can do a super dash using up-down, and during the super dash, you can't actually go inside warp tiles for some reason, and so you can use that to just transition to the next screen to get straight into the Armos maze. Some of the sprites are messed up a little bit by a result of that.
It's a little unintended.
Just a little
Just
bit.
a little bit. Just a little bit.
Yeah, dashing into him with a sword does as much damage as a spin slash, so we just abuse optimal dashing to kill him instantly, or in 6
Nice.
hits. One thing we can't skip is certain dungeons with keys, so we have to get them from the source you get them from.
It's a good time to mention another glitch that Twisted Tamer opted not to use is called super swimming, where when you're clipped inside the water and you look at a wall and look at away from a wall that has a ledge, you turn off your collision permanently. It's an extremely powerful glitch, and he opted not to use that in this task.
And that helps with more fair comparison to a different task that had been done previously, I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah, the last one was in 2010. It had not had the LADX revolution yet, so he just had Swordless Link just had to do the best he could.
Yeah, some of the early tasks by Tampa and Swordless Link and stuff are really good. But we've had a lot of new glitches since then.
So we got a puzzle coming up that involves making the horse heads land upright, and it's usually the bane of RTA runs, but we just manip it to be first try.
Nice. And walls are optional, once again.
Most of the time. This boss usually requires like hurting him with 5 bombs while he's vulnerable, but unfortunately we can just go right past him using one of these tiles. Super jump and bounce off the tile.
I don't think we fight any bosses until the final boss, by the way.
Nope, we just kind of breeze by him.
Even the final boss, you can question whether we actually fight him or not. I think it's debatable. I think give time for a donation now or two.
Sure, we have $1,000 from Saturn New Hockey saying, "Here approximately 1 penny for each action Taz performs that I can't. Let's give more Taz, more Zelda." And we have $250 from Komodo saying, "All hail Tazbot, our robot overlord."
Thank you so much, guys.
Here, Taskbot's going to do what's called Jesus jumping. It's very similar to Villa Skip, where you open your pause menu and interrupt the drowning animation, and you can actually use feather out of that, so you can just jump on water. So, hence Jesus jumping.
I love all the jargon that individual speedrunning and task communities come up with for their runs.
So we just got in there without feather.
Yeah, normally you have to swim through an...
Yeah,
normally you have to swim through an underwater cave to get there, and that requires swimming, so we can't do swimming. So we just had to do something else.
Yeah, by jumping, you actually hit the load trigger for the Dungeon 5. And spoiler alert, we do not get feather or flippers at all in this run. So there's gonna be a lot more of that.
Swimming is also optional.
Yeah, not only is super swimming optional, there's swimming entirely.
So usually there's a very long route to get to the mountains, but we're going to use getting through cave systems to reach the bird key, and then the 7th dungeon, which is up in the mountains. And
Now, what is the menu opening there for?
It interrupts drowning so that we can actually stand on the water for a frame. And there we we clipped into the bottom of the screen so we could stand just below the screen and be able to do one of those dash jumps to save a few Jesus jumps.
Nice.
Yeah, and then transitioning between these different cave systems is allowed under this rule set because it loads the correct palette in. This is a very... Oh yeah, nice visual glitch here. Nice. Yeah, it's a very, very broken game, as you'll see in the next run that we're going to do.
Yeah.
So
if this
it requires.
Looks broken.
Yeah, you should be excited for what comes up next. But we need some pretty heavy rule sets in order to make this game not trash, basically, where you just break everything. So this is more interesting, having to take some restrictions.
Yeah, normally
go for it. Sorry.
You normally need a metal ball to throw at these pillars, and it requires quite a lot of backtracking through the dungeon to get to a spot where you can throw it at the pillars, but bomb triggers will suffice. Now that the 3rd floor is down, we can go straight to it.
And I'm still breathing, the game's still sinking. Don't worry, guys.
Probably a good time for a donation since we're going to be going to the 4th dungeon next.
Sure, we have $30 from Maitri saying, "When's Tazbot's bot mitzvah?" Shoutouts to the Quake NRC, QuakeNet IRC chat. We're still hanging around after all these years. Keep up the good work, GDQ.
Wow. That's IRC chat.
Right?
We still have an IRC bridge for the TaskBot Discord.
So yeah, just making our way to Dungeon 2. Or Dungeon 4, excuse me. Not sure I said 2. But we had to go through the whole... Normally you need to go into Tall Tall Heights to get there. But with some clever super jumps, that's not necessary.
Yeah, this is normally where you get the flippers, which is why this one's usually done before. If you do the game glitchless, but we don't need to swim in this game, so we just go straight to the instrument.
And that was Dungeon 4, and that took like, what, 35 seconds?
It was like 18 seconds from entering.
18,
Nice.
that's like half of what I said.
It's crazy what you can do with the power of stepping through every single frame.
Absolutely.
What we actually have set up now is the way we make these runs is we take BizHawk and we look at the game frame by frame, advance it, and try different inputs until we see what's fastest. And with the Gambot speedrun core, that's the kind of core we're using to emulate the Game Boy in BizHawk. We've worked with Casual Poke Player, Alyosha Task, DeBombstu, and Enterpenter all together and myself, to get that core accurate enough to be able to play these games like LADX and all sorts of other Game Boy games on the real console.
Mm-hmm. Also, shoutouts to Casual Poke Player's task, where he abuses, what do you call it?
Arbitrary code execution.
Save corruption?
Yeah, arbitrary code execution and save corruption to beat the game in like
102.
a minute. Yeah, 102.
And that's
It's
on the original Link's
insane.
Awakening, right?
I think so, right?
Yeah, JP 1.0.
Mm-hmm.
Very
Because
cool.
arbitrary code execution only works on JP. It's a super cool task.
Definitely. This is one of the most complex dungeons to get through casually, but we can pretty much just wall clip and super dash through walls to get almost straight up through it. The reason why all 8 instruments are required in this run is because the egg requires 8 instruments to be able to play the cutscene. Usually you have to play the ocarina with Marin's song, but we'll do something different. But the instruments are still required.
If you look at a RTA, no wrong warp run, it's like 10 minutes or something because you can get to the egg room by using some out of bounds stuff, but it's just a little bit too broken and not very interesting for a task. So this task had to make some extra rules to avoid it not being just using super jumps to get out of bounds.
There's a reason the next one is only about 5 minutes.
We got any other more donations we want to throw out quick before the end of the run?
Sure, we have $250 from Cancer Bad Zelda Good saying, we need to keep the TazBot block going as long as possible. Let's get that glitch exhibition net and kick Cancer's butt at the same time. We
Very
have
cool.
$100 from Zeta Gundam saying, here's my last donation for the marathon. My husband and I have been volunteering from home and it's been a blast. Shout out to the donation crew for being awesome. Now let's keep this TazBot block hype going.
Thank you so much, everybody. I love the hype we do with these TaskBot runs every year.
Probably read one more.
Sure, we have $25 from Dr. Robotnik saying, I have a job opening available if TazBot is interested.
Can you do my job?
All right, so we are going to go into the egg. Notice we did not read the book, which is something you don't even do in RTA runs either, because if you don't read the book, the pattern is always set to left, left, up, right, right, up, left, up. And using super dashes, we can get through it very, very quickly.
So when we enter a boss room, usually there's about a 15-second intro where he's just rambling on about, I wanted to end the world, but you didn't want to. But we can just bomb trigger him to not talk and start the boss fight instantly.
And interestingly,
Yeah, really
if you,
careful, precise use of those bombs, right?
Yeah, interestingly enough, if that boss touches your sword on in the correct circumstances, you actually can get killed without using powder. Here's Aghanim. Using bomb triggers by placing bombs off screen, you can kind of skip some of the animation that he does. You also have to push him into the correct spot on the map so he doesn't have to take time to travel there. So it's a little bit faster that way. Also, Link's sprite is glitching everywhere. It's fantastic. Now
Just
he's
some up,
swimming.
plus down. Just some up, plus down messing around. These bats are really precise and annoying, but alright, so this last boss is Deathel. Usually it takes a lot of arrows to kill, but we bomb triggered the cutscene to end instantly, so no Deathel.
There you go. And time is on the white screen fade out. Time.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Twisted Tamer and GlyphDX, for commentating Twisted's tasks of the No Wrong Warp category for Link's Awakening DX. It's been a great pleasure to show you guys those last two tasks, but we're not done. We have one more. We have the incentive Warps task coming up next. Thank you very much. Let's go.
There's a reason this one took 27 minutes and the next one will take 5 minutes. Pass now.
Well done and GG's. Wow, wow, wow. That was such a great run. We'll be back shortly for that bonus incentive that we all met for the bonus any percent warps. So sit tight, stay tuned. We're going to be right back to that in just a quick sec. But first, we had plenty of donations come in through that run. We have $50 from Shippington saying, Tazbot makes my brain hurt and I love it. We have $100 from Little Freaky saying, Tazbot, 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 hype. We have an anonymous $2,000 donation saying, I want more Tazbot. And more Tazbot you shall get. We have $15 from White Wolf Reina saying, more Tazbot, cause Tazblock is best block. We have $250 from Dr. Seal saying, always look forward to Tazblock every year. It's my favorite part of the event. We have $25 from an anonymous $25 donation saying, donating for Tazbot so they'll be merciful when robots rule the lands. We have $50 from Zer Renner saying, who's a good bot? Who's a good bot? You are. Yes, you are. We have $250 from Phil saying, all hail Tazbot. Love watching GDQ every year and all the good that it stands for in the world. This is my newborn son Rowan's first GDQ and hope for him to watch many more in the future. We have $75 from Niku Veo saying, Tazbot is best bot. Yes, they are. We have $10 from Melentis saying, donating the cost of a coffee for Tazbot for all its hard work. I'm curious what milk Tazbot would have in its coffee. 1%? 2%? Oh wait, it's definitely any percent. Greetings from Australia. Thanks to the runners and crew for all their hard work. Wow. Any percent milk? Sure. We also have $30 from Dr. John W saying, haiku, Link's Awakening, can it all be just a dream? Tazbot, do your thing. And it looks like we're ready for the Tazbot Plays Zelda Link's Awakening DS bonus any percent warps. That was the bonus incentive. So let's go back and let's go.
Thank you guys so much for helping us meet the LADX warps incentive for GDQ 2021, AGDQ 2021. What I've got now, first I'm going to say though, I am so sorry for that mess up with the input display. We always have some sort of technical difficulty when we do a GDQ Tazbot run, and that happened to be the one this time. But we do have runs with input display on VODs and encoded in various places on YouTube to check out later if you would like. But for now, right now, we're going to throw it live with LADX Warps by Twisted Tamer. And I have again Twisted Tamer and Glyph DX on commentary.
All right, so now our hero B is going to beat the game very, very quickly because this game is broken, and this is the reason that we need restrictions in our categories, or else they all end up looking like this.
Definitely. It's going to start the same as no wrong warp, but it's going to go very differently after a shop.
And yeah,
so it should be
very, very differently.
Yeah. So in this game, if you enter any sort of warp tile from behind, the game gets very confused and it looks at the wrong places in memory. It sends you to a glitched world, a version of an already existent map where all the tiles are glitched and palettes are glitched, everything is glitched. And so one of the places it looks in memory is your piece of power kill count. And the piece of power is an item drop that you get after so many kills. And so what map you get and what doghouse world you get is based on how many enemies you've killed. And by doing a wall clipping glitch we mentioned before, you can actually enter that doghouse world from the wrong end, and that's our preferred method of wrong warping.
Yeah, in this route, we don't need the bow to kill Deathel. We're gonna do something differently. So we just gotta make this quick visit to the shop. He kills us, so we don't get the best ending, which a lot of people argue about. But it's still the fastest way to...
It's worth it for the purposes of speed.
Can't be perfect when you're trying to save the world.
True.
Saving frames, saving the world. I think Tazbot knows what he wants.
It's true. So we do have to kill these two enemies to increment the piece of power kill count to be where we want it. And so this is going to be what we call Doghouse 2, because we've killed 2 enemies.
And you can see that little tuck behind, enter behind, and now we have a glitched map.
The game is very unhappy right now. It is not happy with us. But in this really weird world where collision is all screwed up, tiles are all screwed up, enemies are all screwed up, there's the entrance for the egg. There you go. Now we're fighting the final boss.
Right back to that final boss again.
Hey, we just saw this like 10 minutes ago. What happened?
But there's a different strategy you have for the final boss fight here, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, the previous task used an ocarina to stun a bat, which had the same health as the final boss, which was 0, so the final boss would die. But this one, we used bomb triggers to kill the final boss. And because we're limited on how many bombs we have to be conservative about where we use them. Only the fastest places, like...
Also, we get music now. We didn't get music last time, so...
Yeah.
Easier to entertain now.
Yeah, this is a banger, by the way. It's sad we don't get this in runs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and just again, I am so excited that we had Twisted Tamer live on commentary to talk about this boss fight, because very rare, again, we get to have the TAS authors actually talking about their run on the GDQ streams. So thank you so much, Twisted Tamer, and thanks, Cliff, for hanging out with us here during this final boss fight again.
Absolutely. So yeah, another bomb trigger to just kill the boss instantly, and then we walk up the stairs. Timing ends on when the screen fades completely to white. And time.
There it is!
That's
That's
RTA
time for the warps run!
That
A
is
little bit
RTA
shorter.
time. In TAS, you also get to master a little bit more text, but that's RTA
Yeah,
time.
yeah.
Done.
Yeah, task timing, we usually end from, or start from the power on of the console when you start manipulating things, and then you end on last input. RTA times often have different ways of handling that, but yeah. Thank you again so much, guys. Thank you to everyone who participated in raising the money to help show this any percent warps run of LADX. Thank you again, Twisted Tamer and GlyphDX. Everybody I mentioned, the emulator developers. Thank you to Taters, my project manager for all the GDQ runs, getting everything arranged. And thank you, Dwango, for the wonderful intro. And I think we are going back to Dwango now for a quick outro for the task block.
Well, hello everyone. As soon as, not sure when the camera's going to switch over to me, but I'm going to talk now anyway. I am Dwango AC. I have TASBot right behind me, actually on this side. I'm here to talk to you about some last things as we finish up the task block for AGDQ 2021. First of all, thank you so much for TyKevin83 who organized the content for this block, as well as everyone else who contributed. Did want to remind you, there is a t-shirt at the Yeti. You can get a TASBot t-shirt with an isometric view of TASBot. He's very cute. $5 from every shirt goes directly to the Prevent Cancer Foundation, so be sure to head over, grab that t-shirt while you can. We are doing Games Done Classic tomorrow on this stream, around 1 p.m. Eastern. Swing on by to hear about the history of TASBot runs at Games Done Quick Events. I'll be there with TyKevin83 again. Should be a lot of fun. For those in chat, yes, I know, I have a COVID beard and a lot of other things. It's been a strange time for everyone. Finally, we also have a new version of TASBot coming out. This version behind me is the last you will probably see of him. We are replacing the Rob base of TASBot with something new. Stay tuned for our TASBot X project. We'll be showing you more about the history of tool-assisted speedrun content at GDQ events during what we're calling TASBot Revisited runs, where we can dig into some GDQ appearances of TASBot, get into them, see how these things worked, how the original AGDQ 2014 appearance of TASBot happened, and all those wonderful things. So be sure to check out the sneak preview of that happening tomorrow on this channel during Games Done Classic. That's all. If you would like to be part of the TAS community, maybe you'd like to get your own replay device, head on over to discord.tas.bot. And with that, this concludes the AGDQ 2021 GDQ, sorry, I said that twice, TASBot block. Thank you very much to everyone.
Well done, and GG's. The TAS block never fails to amaze me. Thank you so much to the TAS community for always providing these mind-blowing runs. And actually, speaking of mind-blowing things, we just hit that 1.9 million mark. Oh man, thank you to all of you at home donating. You are all breathtaking, oh my goodness. And also, a reminder that our next donation incentive is the Glitch exhibition for Zelda Link to the Past, and we actually need $222,222 to make that happen. And oh man, I just had this up. We're already at the $13,000 mark for that. So if you want to see some neato glitches for Zelda Link to the Past, be sure to get those donations in. And speaking of donations, we still have a few here from the TAS block. We have $50 from the Crank Machine saying, "This marathon is amazing. There's no contest." I see what you did there. We have $25 from Failed Gamer saying, "Gotta donate during TAS run of Zelda." Also, awesome to see these games optimized with robot-like precision. Keep fighting the good fight against cancer. We have an anonymous $20 donation saying, "TASBot is always entertaining. I always enjoy watching the game break, but continue running." We have a $250 donation from AlphaGo saying, in 50 years, TazBot will play every game at AGDQ and the audience will only be other TazBots. Oh, wow. We have a $1,000 donation from Maxim G saying, hail, mighty TazBot. We have a $560 donation from Shirin Siraki. Sorry if I mispronounced that. From your daughter and all your friends and family who love you and so proud of you, and just how Link always crushes Ganon, and we know you're gonna crush Cancer. We have $250 from Floaty saying, let's get that glitch exhibition. And that is it for me for AGDQ. This is Marforia signing off. Thank you so much, GDQ, for having me, and thank you to all you at home for watching and donating. These events are very near and dear to my heart, and it's always such an honor to be here. So thank you, everyone. So actually, Kung Fu Fruit Cup will be next on the hosting desk. You saw her a little bit ago for that amazing Beat Saber showcase, so be sure to stay tuned. But anyways, stay safe, stay hydrated, and be well. AGDQ will be back after a short break. Take care, everyone.
And it's good. That's like what I wanted, because I was like, hello, everyone, and welcome back to Awesome Games Done Quick Online 2021, powered by Twitch. It's so nice to be back again with you all so very soon. I've had a lovely day. This has been an amazing, amazing week of games, and we still have more coming up. I know this is our final night, which is actually very depressing. Very sad about it, because it's just one of my favorite times of the year by far. But we do have some amazing games still left to happen tonight, including Sekiro Shadow Die Twice. We have Legend of Zelda Link to the Past. We have the Super Mario Bros. 35 Showcase, Super Orb Bros. Pokemon Blue, and then the bonus game, which is Ocarina of Time. So great. I'm so excited for all of it. So let's keep getting those donations in so that we can hit that total to unlock Ocarina of Time. Alrighty, so then we are gonna get in a few quick donations, and then and then we will continue on. So we have a $50 donation from Gumdrop, who says, TazBot and Sekiro, two of my favorite things. Thanks for having such a great event at a much needed time. Shout out to my lovely fiance for being there for me during it. We also have a $50 donation from Chef Mickey saying, getting hype for the Sekiro race. Anybody playing on Donkey Konga Bongos? All right, we are going to be heading over to an interview now with Kathleen Schmaler with the Prevent Cancer Foundation. Take it away.
Thank you, everybody, for tuning in to Awesome Games Done Quick 2021 online. I am Jay Hobbs, or Jeff, as we'll probably be going with today during this interview, and I am joined by Dr. Kathleen Schmaler, who is going to tell us a little bit about the work that she does with PCF. So thank you, Kathleen, for being with me.
Thank you for having me.
So I first wanted to ask you just a little bit, if you could tell people, I guess, about kind of your cancer prevention work that you've done with the Prevent Cancer Foundation, and maybe even if there's anything specifically supported by AGDQ, but otherwise just some of the work that you've done with cancer prevention.
Sure. So I'm an oncologist at MD Anderson, which is a cancer center in Houston.
They're basically ready anyway,
and I do a lot of work, especially related to cervical cancer and cervical cancer prevention. So it's a completely preventable disease. And so a lot of the work that we do is in areas of the United States, but then also in other countries, primarily in Latin America and in Africa. And the reason for that is cervical cancer is a preventable disease that you can get the HPV vaccination for. And then we also do screening with Pap tests. And a lot of women around the world don't have access to the screening. And then if they do get screening, have abnormal results, they don't have anywhere to go to get the treatment before it turns into cancer. So that's a lot of the work that I do. And we've been really, really grateful to the Prevent Cancer Foundation and to all of you for supporting the Prevent Cancer Foundation to do projects, particularly in Mozambique and in Africa related to cervical cancer prevention.
Yeah, I think it's so many people don't know how many types of cancer are completely preventable. You mentioned just a little bit about some of the stuff that you do to help detect and prevent cancer. Do you want to go in a little more in depth on that maybe, or potentially just what people at home should know about this kind of thing as well?
Sure. So we work in two different areas, and one is developing new technologies to be able to screen faster and more cheaply, and even for women to be able to do a test at home instead of having to go to the doctor. To get Pap tests. And that has always been important, but it's even more important now because of COVID. And so we work with Rice University, and the Prevent Cancer Foundation has also supported Rice with a group of bioengineers, and that's actually where I am right now, is at Rice, that we work with really closely here to develop kind of cheaper, faster tests that can be run in very, very low resource settings where you don't need electricity or a lab or specialists. So that's one area. And then the other area we do a lot of work in is actually teaching nurses and doctors, physician assistants to do all the different procedures that are needed when someone's diagnosed with a pre-cancer. So essentially they have a abnormal testing, and then they have a pre-cancer. It's not yet cancer, and if it gets treated properly, then it prevents them from ever developing cancer. So we need people who know how to do that, and then as well as better and better tools to do that with. So that's a lot of the work that we do, and we've been doing in Texas, where we're located. In South Texas, in the Rio Grande Valley, along the Texas-Mexico border, there are really, really high rates of cervical cancer. So we have a lot of projects going on there with our collaborators, the doctors and nurses who work there. And then we do almost the exact same work in Brazil, and then also in Mozambique and Africa. And a lot of these projects have been funded through all the support from your games.
Yeah, so that was actually going to be my next question. It's a perfect lead in. What does the support from AGDQ mean to you personally, as somebody who works kind of on the front lines with this stuff?
Yeah, I mean, it's been incredible because it's allowed us pre-COVID to actually have some of our teams be able to spend time in Mozambique and Africa to actually teach the doctors and nurses to do these procedures. And then the support has also helped fund some of the research in the lab here at Rice University to develop. We do HPV testing as one of the ways we test for cervical cancer. And so the team here has developed really what we call point of care, so you can actually do it right then, almost like a pregnancy test or other things, with the idea that you could come in, get that done, know the answer, and then know if you needed more procedures or more treatment. What's been really incredible about the support is that it's really helped the group here to develop a better HPV test. And then when COVID hit, we obviously weren't able to travel, or haven't been able to travel to Mozambique for the last 8 or 9 months. And the team here was actually able to develop a very rapid COVID test, kind of using some of that same technology. So now we have a big study going on here with a COVID test that hopefully could be performed in very low resource settings without complicated equipment. So we're testing it here in Houston, and just submitted the application to the FDA for emergency use. So we sort of pivoted a lot of the work we were doing related to cervical cancer into COVID. And again, a lot of this was started based on our support from the Prevent Cancer Foundation. So that's been really terrific, both on the cervical cancer side, but now also on the COVID side.
Wow, yeah, that's fantastic. I love hearing I've heard this kind of so many times at this point from talking with a lot of people, both friends I have who are doctors and just individuals throughout the industry, hearing how much everybody their work has been able to kind of support each other throughout this entire pandemic and stuff. It's stuff that you might think like, oh, well, we need to focus on this right now, and it turns out, yeah, we actually can in all these different methods and stuff, right? So thank you so much for that. And I was curious as well, just if you had any kind of personal stories, or maybe wanted to talk a little bit about maybe the community or the individuals that will benefit from this or that have left an impact on you personally.
Yeah, so because cervical cancer is preventable, every time we see someone who comes in with, with cancer, advanced cancer that we can't treat or cure, it's it's devastating to us. In Mozambique, because they don't have really well organized and robust screening programs, it's very, very common for women to die of cervical cancer. It's actually the #1 cancer among women there. And we have a patient who we took care of that we diagnosed and treated as part of our programs. And she came back after, having had procedures done with us and surgery done with us, to thank us. And all the nurses, everyone call her the survivor, because the programs that we're doing there are helping to cure women who previously were dying of disease. So that's been really, really gratifying for us to be able to take kind of the knowledge and skills we have somewhere like a hospital in the U.S. where I work, or especially a big cancer center, and take them to other regions of the world and provide, that teaching and those tools to others. So that's been really, really gratifying, and obviously the funding from all of you to make that happen has been critical.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's always my favorite part of doing these interviews, is just getting to hear about stories from the individuals themselves, because sometimes it's easy to get lost in the weeds of thinking of everything as big organizations working together to do a lot of work, but it's at the core is a lot of people who really make it all happen. And to get to hear those kinds of moments that you have as part of that work is always, I love to hear about it. It's always the best to me. Well, we're unfortunately pretty much out of time already, Kathleen, but I did want to kind of leave you with one final question. I believe you actually did attend AGDQ in the past, right? Do you have a favorite video game that you'd maybe like to share, or some kind of gaming story or something to share with the audience out there as we head back into the week?
So I'm not sure I have a favorite video game. I sort of grew up playing, Space Invaders and Pac-Man. But I have a 16-year-old son who was thrilled to actually join me when I was able
Oh, that's
to
great.
come. And I feel like our worlds don't overlap very much these days. So he and I had an amazing trip to Washington 2 years ago now, I guess, 2 years ago in January. So a big thank you to all of you for, bringing a mom and her 16-year-old kid into the same universe where work and family life can interact. And I don't think he'll ever go to a medical conference with me, but he was thrilled to come to that.
That's great. And hopefully, hey, when it's safe for everybody to meet back in person again, we'll see you all there at another AGDQ.
And one more thing I will
yeah.
say is I got this amazing thing to hold my badge from
yes.
the last one. And every now and then I will have either one of our medical students or residents or a family member who knows exactly what this is and will ask me where I got it and what my connection is. So I always tell them about Awesome Games Done Quick.
Wow, that's great.
And how you support cancer.
I didn't even notice the lanyard. That's so perfect. Well,
yeah, and I've been wearing it for 2 years, but it's very rare that someone recognizes it, but it's also very special when they do.
Right. Yeah, it's fun, like finding those interactions out in the wild, as it were. Thank you, Kathleen, so much for talking with me for a little bit here and for sharing with everybody at home just why these donations are so important, why we do this, and why this work matters. Why all these donations matter. I hope that you have a very safe rest of your holiday. We actually pre-recorded this episode a little bit before the event started, so I'm excited to see how the event is going by the time this airs. And yeah, thank you so much, and I hope you have a great rest of your week, and thank you so much for the work that you do.
Great. Thank you so much, and thank you for all the support from all of you.
And that was a fantastic interview with Kathleen. Wonderful to hear more about the Prevent Cancer Foundation and the people involved with that. So we are back and getting ready to do our Sekiro Any% race, which is really exciting. In the meantime, I'm going to get in a few quick donations. So we have a $5,000 donation from Akusai with no comment, but thank you. There's also a $1,250 donation from Sam, who says, no comment. We also have a $250 donation from Viroland saying, can't wait for the race. Two great runners of a great game. Mitch will emerge victorious with the power of his first try monkey skip. Good luck to you both. And for now, I am going to send it on over to Lil Aggie and Mitz, Chris, and crew for this Sekiro Any% race. Good luck.
Thank you so much, Kung Fu. I see what you did there for everyone who watched the daily recap last night. What's up, guys? I am the crew, along with Distortion. What's up, guys? Spike Vegeta and Distortion here doing commentary for you guys for this Sekiro Shadows Die Twice Any% race with the number 1 and 3 players in the category in the world, Little Aggie and Mitch. First off, Aggie, Mitch, how y'all doing today? How y'all feeling?
I'm feeling good.
I'm feeling fantastic.
A little nervous, but, super excited.
Yep, me too.
A lot of big-time boss fights and big skips that they're going to have to nail throughout this run. A game that for many of us casually took us 25, 30 hours, they're going to take out in 25, 30 minutes, and that's if they're a little slow. So don't blink, everyone. Hold on to your butts. We're jumping in. I do want to introduce my co-host today, my co-commentator, Distortion, an amazing speedrunner in many games, including basically every Soulsborne game. Distortion, how are you doing today, my friend?
I'm doing great. Hello, everybody. Super excited for this race. It's going to be a lot of very, very difficult skips, so the race could go either way. Can't wait for it to get started.
Yeah, Distortion, also a top 10 any percent runner as well. Going to be able to give you a lot of in-depth commentary here. But with that, let's go ahead and jump into the race. I want to tell you all once again, we're trying to get to $2.5 million and get that OOT ZFG run open. Let's see if we can get to 2 million in the time Kung Fu is on the mic reading donations for you all. But with that, let's jump in. Boys, are you ready?
Ready.
I am ready.
All right, let's all count them down in the chat, probably on delay, from 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. Good luck, have fun, gentlemen. All right, so opening up here, going into the game, we're here in a bit of a tutorial section. You're going to see them employ a little bit of movement tech right here. They're going to be jumping and kicking constantly. Jumping speeds you up just a little bit, and the kick sends you back to the ground quickly to apply another jump. This is not going to be throughout the entirety of the run. You just can't sprint in this game until you have the sword. Now, hopefully both of our runners don't get unlucky here. It's meant to be a bit of a stealth section. We're not stealthing at all. We're just getting shot at the entire time. So, and as you can see in the bottom left corner of the UI, for anyone who hasn't played this game, they're sitting on just a little sliver of health. Again, meant to be the tutorial section. Supposed to be stealthing, they're not doing that. Both of them not getting unlucky, not getting shot, and now they're going to pick up their sword. And what is meant to be sort of like the Estus flask of this game, what you're going to be healing with. Hopefully these runners will never have to drink from it. It's only got one usage in it right now anyways, that you can refill at your idols and whatnot. Now they'll be making their way over to the end of the tutorial. Normally there's meant to be a little bit of a mini boss right here. That is denoted if you look in the top left corner of the UI, you'll notice the health bars for this mini boss right here. We have no interest in fighting him. And they're also going to be picking up the fistfuls of ash. Distortion, do you want to explain us from a little bit of a routing standpoint why they're picking up the ash and what it does?
Yeah, so these ash are consumable items you can use to stun bosses. I'm surprised how synced up they are right now. They are just neck and neck, pretty much at the exact same point.
Yeah, I do believe we have to go to a break real quick for you guys. We'll be right back with more of the race.
Looks like we are going to be getting ready to restart this race here in just a minute due to some technical difficulties. Oh. Yeah. Yes. Hello. Yes, I'm still here. Apparently, I'm not muted when I'm told I am, but no worries. We're just chatting amongst ourselves, making sure the race is all good to go, and we are going to get started once again with that Sekiro any percent race. let's take it away.
Welcome everyone to the first ever Sekiro any percent race GDQ. I'm sorry, Gachita, that's Distortion, that's Aggie and Mitch. Let's go ahead and get started in 5. Are you boys ready?
Yeah, we're good.
Okay, I want to make sure I was taking a dump. No, sorry. So let's get started in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. All right. All right, so for all of you who this is the first time you've ever seen Sekiro Shadows Die Twice, opening here in the tutorial, you're going to see them apply some movement tech. They're going to be jumping and they're going to be kicking. Some might call it a jump kick or a dive kick. And that is because every time they jump here, it's going to speed them up just a little bit. They'll have the ability to sprint once they have access to the sword. Coming up here right after this tutorial section. Now, we had to restart the race. It was a pretty good tutorial for both of them. So what naturally should happen is one of them's going to get shot right here. Let's see what happens.
Yeah, this is a pretty dangerous part. There's Gunner just shoots you from super far away, but these guys know what they're doing. They should be fine.
Yeah, very nice. Both of them getting into the window, picking up their sword, and picking up their, I forget what it's called, the gourd something. What was it? It's going to be on screen here in 2 seconds, I guess. The healing gourd, that's right. I love when video games give me the on-screen tutorial for the games I'm doing comms on. So that will be effectively their Estus flask of this game, but they're only going to have 1 usage in there. They're not going to upgrade or anything. And if they ever have to use it, that's probably not a good sign for the run anyways. Again, this is a very, very short run, as you can see for the estimate. They're going to take out in 25 to 30 minutes, what took y'all 25 to 30 hours. Distortion, you explained a little bit earlier, I think, as we were cutting out, what is the Fistful of Ash that they just picked up going to be used for later?
Yeah, so the Ash is a consumable that you can use. It can be used to stun bosses, and it's going to be used in not really an intentional way, but they're going to be using it on a boss to make the boss kind of recoil backwards so they can get a stealth death blow, but we'll talk more about that when the time comes.
Yeah, again, so if you look in the bottom left, that's where your health is. You're meant to, here in the tutorial, you're going to die pretty quickly. They're moving up, and they're just going to take an intentional death to Genichiro right here. We will fight him for real a little bit later on in the run. But for now, we are into the actual game itself, getting our prosthetic arm after we might have lost it in that last cutscene we just skipped, that fight we just lost out on. And one thing, obviously, Distortion, you've gotten to run basically all the different Soulsborne games. And one thing that I imagine sets this run apart from many others is that there is a lot of very important platforming, especially all this coyote jumping. How hard is it to get good at the platforming in this game, would you say?
Well, this is probably one of the hardest games in terms of skips. A lot of the skips are, we don't really know exactly, but they feel almost frame perfect. There's 2 skips that they're going to be doing that you're going to want to watch out for. One of them's coming up soon. It's called the Ogre Skip, and it requires a very precise platforming movement off of a corner of a ledge. So that'll be coming up real soon. They're just going to be skipping past the Ogre, and, well, if everything goes well.
Yeah. Pay attention to their feet as they're running off this platform past the Ogre. A very difficult mini-boss for a lot of people casually. But you see Mitch here on the right. Ooh, gonna have to reset up for it again. That extremely late coyote timing. Aggie able to actually make up a little bit of time right there. Very nice. GG, first try for both runners.
That skip is way harder than it looks. They make it look very easy, but it is not. It is no joke.
First of many, many coyote jumps they'll be doing throughout this run. Try to skip past some bosses, but those aren't the only types of skips. As now we go down to the canyon where you run into this big old snake. Hopefully you won't see too much of it. If you have a fear of snakes, I would probably look away from the screen for the next about 45 seconds. There is a extremely hard skip that both the runners are electing to not go for here, called I believe the double canyon skip. Yeah, just extremely difficult. Going to take the little more consistent route here for you guys for the purpose of the race here for GDQ.
Okay, and Aggie opted to go for the canyon skip there. Saves a little bit of shimmying across the wall there. He did get hit by the snake, but luckily he's still alive. But both runners making it past here. It's very nice.
Yeah, Aggie able to make up a little bit of time on his aggressive play right there, but did take a hit from the snake. Hopefully that health isn't going to come to mean too much till he gets to his next idol statue. Both players almost synced up right here, coming up to what would have been the first boss fight. Tell me a little bit about this quote-unquote boss fight we got here, Distortion.
Yeah, so this is Gyobu. He's got a great voice line when he enters the boss fight. Definitely recommend checking that out on the other languages as well. But yeah, we're not going to be fighting him. There's a skip you can do using the obstacles in the arena. There's these big giant towers, and you're going to see Mitch. Unfortunately, he didn't get it, but Aggie did get it. You're doing a delayed jump off the top of that tower, and you can basically go out of bounds, and it's going to make the horse just run straight to his doom. He'll just fall right off the cliff.
Yeah, that is a more consistent strat for the runners trying to go for. They each actually have their own variation on the strat. Mitch reloading right there because he does not want to lose this tower structure, taking a little bit different route. So he's going to be moving up, trying to still save that little bit of time. And you might be thinking, oh, this race is so short. It's already over. There's so many big skips and boss fights coming up. Mitch, unfortunately, whiffing again.
That's very unfortunate.
Set up one more time.
I gotta quit out again. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought you had it there. You can basically ledge grab right from the jump, but he was a little too short. You can save it by jumping on the wall and then grabbing the ledge, but just a little bit of a misread there by Mitch. Quite unfortunate, but hopefully he'll get it this time.
Yeah, again, still a lot of craziness left to go in this run. Aggie able to also skip the bullfight while we were focusing on that. Don't worry about it too much. There was some stuff not completely loaded off screen, but it's fine as he makes his way over, starting to work towards the first of the 3 major bosses, trying to get over to the Corrupted Monk. And GG to Mitch, able to nail the Gyobu skip as well. Gonna look back, make sure that he and his horse are gonna be falling off the arena, and then he can utilize his memory to up his strength just a little bit more.
Yeah, very nice, Mitch. And if anybody did miss the bull skip, you can get another chance to see it on Mitch's screen here. There's a big bull that you normally fight, but they actually patched it out, funny enough, but we found another way to do it on current patch. So this is the new version. And that one is also very difficult, not nearly as easy as it looks.
Little Aggie able to get past the Lone Shadow mini boss right there. You can see, yeah, a lot of stuff isn't completely loaded on right there. Yeah, very nicely done. Again, so many of these skips are extremely difficult. I see these runners able to finish it up. As now we have got Little Aggie gonna be the first of our 2 racers to get down to the Snake Eyes boss fight. In this big pit, has to angle up in order to grapple hook onto that grapple point right there and picking up more Fistfuls of Ash. Again, our runners are going to want 5 to 6 Fistfuls of Ash in order to go for a big skip on the next major boss fight. Let's focus in on both of our runners, going for 2 different mini bosses right here. Lone Shadow on the right, Snake Eyes on the left, but both a similar technique, going for this dead angling trick right here, where if you're facing at a sideways angle away from the boss, they will not be blocking your attacks. So a really good way to fill that posture meter in the top of the screen. If you look on your screen right now, you've got their health bar in the top left, but you've also got the posture meter on the top center part of the screen. They're going to be, as soon as they fill up that posture meter, it staggers the boss, and they can go for a death blow, getting rid of one of their full health bars, which is denoted by the red circles in the top left above the health bar. Both of our players masterfully able to take out both of them. Very nice stuff from both of them. Mitch missing that Gyobu skip a couple times, but just a little bit behind Aggie with some big, tough strats coming up. I'll also hand it off to Distortion here to explain a little bit more about the Snake Eyes and how you can potentially get sniped by one of the enemies coming in right here. You want to explain a little bit about the boss Dist?
Yeah, so for the longest time in the any percent run, we would kill this one sniper. He's positioned on this big plank in the arena. But, you know, since this is any percent and it's a very short run, you got to go for the riskiest strats. They're just going to be fighting the Snake Eyes basically without executing that gunner. So there's the chance, you know, while they're trying to dead angle the Snake Eyes, that this gunner can shoot you. And if that happens, you're pretty much going to die. Thankfully, you can revive. It is Sekiro, Shadows Die Twice, after all. But Yeah, it's a bit risky. And as we could see there, Mitch had to quit out because the Snake Eyes noticed him. It's a little bit unlucky. Might have went along the wrong line. I'm not quite sure, but he's got her in position now, doing the dead angling, looking pretty good.
Yeah, also when you see the Japanese characters pop up there in red, that is signaling to you that Snake Eyes is about to go for her grab. That is the only grab in the game that you can actually parry right there. And that's just another way to fill that posture meter. Ooh, we've got, had to go for one extra attack, accidentally knocked her into the water, but great backup right there by Mitch. Great adaptation, good to see.
Yeah, that scared me.
We got Aggie on the left side, making his way through the town, almost up to the Corrupted Monk, which is why we've been picking up the stuff like the Fistfuls of Ash, but also the Snap Seeds. All these items work together is going to be getting her to sort of move back. And you'll kind of see here in a second how we're going to manipulate a death blow off of her and just end the fight immediately.
Yeah, it's,
while we're making our way up there, let's go ahead and hand off to Kung Fu for one quick donation.
Perfect. I was about to ask. We have a $15 donation. This is from Geo TM, who says, had the honor of working on the marketing for this game. So this is the perfect time to donate. Good luck to both runners who are way better than me at this game.
Let's hand it over to Distortion to tell us a little bit about this boss fight, and you were also going to say something else.
Yeah, so this is a Corrupted Monk fight. It's the way that they're going to be doing this is very interesting. Basically, if you approach the boss from the side, you can get behind it before it spawns in, and enemies in this game have line of sight. It's kind of like a 180-degree range. So if you're behind the boss, when it spawns in, the boss will never notice you. And you can apply these items like the Snap Seed and the Ash to make the boss move backwards, and you can do an aerial death blow on the boss. So the boss basically doesn't recognize you're there, and because of that, you can do a stealth death blow. I'm not quite sure why it's even possible to do that. I think it's a leftover mechanic from another boss that's in the game. There's basically a true version of the monk, and that's the reason it's possible, but it's a great strat. It's a very tough fight, so being able to just kill the boss like that works very well for the run.
Great to see Aggie nail that boss right there. The first of 3 major bosses we're going to have to clear out in order to get to the Shura ending. Let's look over on the right side of your screen. You got Mitch picking up the Divine Confetti. The Divine Confetti is going to be good to just have a general boost to your damage, your HP damage specifically. It's going to save a few seconds in a boss fight coming up here in a little bit. While on the left side of your screen, yeah, this is not intended gameplay right here. Distortion, what the heck is happening?
Yeah, so this is actually the reason we kill the Corrupted Monk first. When you kill that boss, it gives you the ability to dive underwater. And in this game, if you dive into a water source that's out of bounds, you can just go wherever. They basically designed it so, you know, the player has to, they have to surface the water in a completely encased area. So yeah, he can just fly, and now he's doing the Genichiro fight, and another example of the dead angling here being put into use. You can just get him stuck right in the door, and he's just going to be spamming R1.
Yeah, going to be doing that for both phases right here. As you see, that HP meter is going to deplete to 0, which also sets you up for a death blow, as Mitch nails the Corrupted Monk strat as well on the right side. Great job for him. And now we have got Aggie finishing up phase 2 of Genichiro, but he's got a third phase right here where this is just the swaggiest opening to a fight. Very, very difficult fight right here, but he's going to use the sugar right here, the Yashiriku sugar, upping his damage by 25% by cutting his health bar in health, not in half. Not that we had a lot of health to work with in the first place. Also jumping, catching that lightning, going for the reversal, adding tons of posture damage and HP damage right there. We're trying to fill that meter in the top of the screen. Looks like he's got just a few more attacks to go. And again, Genichiro is a very random fight. Aggie able to adapt to all of the different attacks and take him out. 1, 2, 3 death blows. As now we have got Mitch also getting out of bounds and air swimming his way up to Genichiro as well.
He got the air swim first try as well. It's actually quite a difficult jump. Basically,